Now let's start in South Africa. The country's official unemployment rate has increased by 0.5% to about 27.2% in the second quarter of this year. Now that's up from 26.7% in the first 3 months of the year. The increase was due to a decline of about 90,000 people in employment. Additionally, the number of discouraged job seekers rose to 2.9 million people between the first and second quarters of 2018. Now manufacturing has also lost about 55,000 jobs year on year, with basic metals and food production being the main drivers of these employment losses in the sector. Well, Angelo Coppola now joins us in Johannesburg to discuss these numbers. Angelo, as always, welcome to the show. Now, analysts already called this drop in unemployment in the second quarter of the year. Of course, given the fact that we have seen economic growth sort of faltering this year, it contracted about 2.2% in the first quarter. So do experts, Angelo, see this as a trend that will continue throughout the year?
Well, Lucia, heading into the third quarter, there's not much seasonal activity that can push those numbers up. In fact, we may see some contraction as excuse me, the mining sector remains under pressure. The Lonmin Sibanye deal is about to be finalized, and that's going to happen in the third quarter. We know that several thousand jobs are going to be lost there. And just a few hours ago, we heard from De Beers when they announced that they're going to probably be closing their Voorspoed mine. That's probably going to mean 900 jobs lost there. So it's not looking good for quarter three at the moment. Quarter four, I'm told, generally picks up due to Christmas festive season temporary employment. But that presupposes that consumers have an appetite to go and shop. And this as disposable income starts coming under pressure. So it doesn't look that peachy at the moment, Lucia.
Now, Angelo, we did see key sectors like manufacturing losing over 100,000 jobs. Other sectors like mining and transport, they did see job increases. So were there some positives in this jobs report?
Well, there were one or two specks of light at the end of this rather gloomy and depressing tunnel. The mining sector, in fact, saw some 38,000 jobs added to that sector. The transport industry accounted for the largest increase in jobs. There are some 54,000 new positions that were created in the second quarter. Interestingly enough, in the private household sector, 22,000 more people were employed there. Presumably, that means that people working in domestic and other capacities in those homes increased. Meanwhile, the utility sector also increased by around 18,000 people. So little specks of light, but nothing to write home about, Lucia.
Now, Reserve Bank Governor Kganyago, not so positive as well. He did say last week that the current growth trajectory remained too low to tackle South Africa's unemployment level. So what are authorities saying that they will do about these job losses?
Well, there's a lot riding on President Ramaphosa and his $100 billion drive. But it seemed, while I've seen the number 100 billion thrown a lot around, I haven't seen how many jobs that 100 billion is going to actually create. The drive, of course, is part of a bigger drive, which the president is hoping to raise around $930 billion over the next 5 years. So if he's successful, that could boost the economic growth rate in the country by around 4.5%. And that could mean that as many as 1.5 million new jobs could be created by 2020, and that's just in 2 years from now. He and his special envoys have to, of course, get over this first $100 billion hurdle. Some analysts or economists are also calling on local businesses to match any FDI that does come into the country, because it will probably lead to increased confidence levels. So it's about having some skin in the game, I'm told.
Well, looking at the overall economy, Angelo, the Reserve Bank did also slash its 2018 forecast for the economy from about 1.7% to 1.2%. Of course, that was earlier this month. So does the country still remain at risk of further credit rating downgrades at this stage?
Well, the risk is actually heightened, in fact, with that drop. The economic growth rate is not the issue that will drive the downgrade decision by those agencies. They have all said the same thing. The public sector is bloated and state expenditure should be cut. That, and unfortunately, in fact, the reverse has happened. Public servants got an above inflation increase recently. Eskom caved in and is negotiating above inflation increases for its staff. And then, of course, there could be strike action because Eskom has announced that it's not going to be paying those bonuses that the unions are demanding. The fact is that there's no obvious activity around fixing the SOEs that are currently under pressure. There's no discernible progress being made at SAA, for example. There was lots of talk around a turnaround plan. That was some 2 months ago, and there were some comments made about the Air Chefs business, which is the catering arm there. But because it's a labour issue, it's going to be protracted, and it's not going to be resolved anytime soon. I'm told that Ramaphosa's decision to look at the distribution side of the country's economy and not pay more attention to the production side has some business people spooked, Ucha.
Well, many thanks, Angelo, for those insights. Of course, Angelo Coppola joining us there in Johannesburg. Now let's stay in the country, where civic and political groups have gathered in Church Square, Pretoria, and they're protesting against the high price of petrol as well as diesel. Consumers have been left reeling after 6 successive fuel price increases in 6 months. Unleaded 93 octane fuel prices have jumped from about 13.9 Rand in February to 15.8 Rand in July, with of course another increase due later this week.
So here we sit, and I hear so many people say, oh, why are you asking us to reduce the fuel levy? I'm asking you to reduce the fuel levy because it will benefit the people, it will benefit the economy. We can create work for our people so that ultimately the cost of goods isn't going up, but this government refuses to hear us.
Today we came together as South Africans across sectors, political parties, civil society and religious leaders, to tell the government to drop the fuel levy by 1 Rand, to make it affordable to South Africa, because right now the cost of living has gone beyond the breaking point. People are living under the poverty line. We need a relief. What is important is that government should be focusing on ending corruption and collecting the money that has been stolen from us to the tune of 100 billion Rand and repatriated to South Africa.